Last week I posted a video where I talked about how to eat carnivore on a budget. Now, sort of going along with the same theme, today we're going to be talking about how to buy a cow. Yes, a cow. Now, I promise you it's not as intimidating as it might sound. So stick with me and I'll break down all the steps and other things you need to know to make this happen. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kate. I'm a health coach and I post videos on a high-fat, nutrient-dense way of eating. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, feel free to share it, and make sure to subscribe. Buying your meat in bulk is a great way to save money if you're eating an animal-based diet. You can get top quality meat for a really good price. Now, I know I said at the start this video was about how to buy a whole cow, and that is definitely an option. But if that sounds like, maybe too much meat, still keep watching because there are a few different things you can do to get less meat, but still get the savings. Okay, so when you buy a whole or a half or a quarter of a cow, you are getting all the meat that is on that portion of the animal, which is a lot of meat. So obviously there are some pros and some cons to doing this. The obvious pro is that you're saving money, you're also getting high quality meat, and you're also supporting local farmers. Some of the cons are that it does take a little bit of planning. There's quite a big upfront cost, and the meat takes up a lot of space. We're gonna get into all of these as we go along in the video. Okay, so when I first heard the concept of buying a cow, that was just before I originally started Carnivore. And in my head, I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to call up a farm, buy a cow from them, find someone to kill the cow and butcher it. It seemed like a lot of work. But as soon as I got on Google, I realized it was a lot easier than what I was imagining. There are so many farms that sell directly to the consumer. They butcher the meat, they deliver it to your door, they make it so easy. So how do you find a farm? Well, if you're in North America, there's a great website called 𝗖𝗟𝗜𝗖𝗞.com. This basically lists all the grass-fed, pasture-raised farms that are in your area. This website seriously makes things so easy. Now, if you don't live in North America, like myself, it still isn't too hard to find these farms. A simple Google search of something like buy beef in bulk Adelaide works just as well. Okay, so now you've found a couple different farms to choose from. What you're gonna wanna do next is compare prices. So I would recommend just opening a spreadsheet, entering in some different farms and the prices they're offering, and yeah, just finding the best deal. Also, if you're a little bit skeptical that this is even gonna save you that much money, I would look up the prices of meat from your local supermarket for different cuts and add those to your spreadsheet as well. When I did this, I was shocked. When I filmed my Carnivore on a Budget video, the ground beef I bought was about $9 per kilo, and that was the least expensive option. Now, one of the farms I've bought from in the past, if you were to buy a whole cow, everything would come out to $10 per kilo. That's $10 per kilo for grass-fed, grass-finished ribeyes. Obviously, you're not just getting ribeyes, you get a wide range of cuts, but my point is you're getting expensive cuts for a fraction of the price. Even if I were to buy conventional ribeyes from the supermarket here, they're $33 per kilo. Now, I'm just gonna walk you through a little bit of how the process goes when you're buying. So this is a farm I've bought from before. You can see that you can either buy a whole cow, which is approximately 200 kilos, or you can buy a half of a cow, which is 100, or a quarter, which is 50. So the prices depend on how much you're buying, and they also depend on how you want the meat packed. So the bulk price, as you can see, it just says it's packed in bulk bags. You can also have it tray packed, which is pretty much how you would buy it at the supermarket with the little tray underneath. And then you can also have it vacuum sealed. The vacuum sealing is going to be the best option if you want your meat to last for a long time in the freezer. Of course, you can also buy it just in the bulk bags as well and vacuum seal it yourself, but it just comes down to which you value more, I guess, your time or your money. Now, again, I just want to mention that I am in Australia, so I'm not too familiar with what the prices are like in the States or even in Canada. But just from looking around on 𝗖𝗟𝗜𝗖𝗞.com, at least in the States, it looks like you can buy a quarter, half, or whole cow from between $7 to $10 per pound. So one thing you want to consider when you're looking into doing this is how much meat you're actually going to eat. A whole cow yields about 200 kilos of beef, and then you can obviously do a half of that or a quarter of that. The larger quantity you buy, the more you're going to save. Now, when you're buying this much meat, you really need a chest freezer. We actually don't have one in our house, but we're fortunate enough Max has one at his work that we are able to access. So that's obviously not ideal. I wish we had the space for one here. That would make life so much easier, but it is what it is. You do what you gotta do. So if you don't have one and you don't have access to one, another option you could look into would be meat lockers. These are basically big freezers that your butcher has. I'm not too familiar with how common they are. I know they have them here and there. You can find some results if you just Google it, but definitely worth looking into if not having a freezer is the only thing holding you back. Now, another thing I want to mention is this may seem like a lot of planning, but you just have to keep in mind that you really only have to do the planning and the research once. Once you've found a farm you like, that meat is gonna last you 6 months, 9 months, a year. And when you do run out, ideally, you can just order from the same farm again. The other thing I wanted to say is that it does take a pretty big upfront cost, but I think once you calculate it out and start really looking into it, you realize that it's definitely worthwhile. If a quarter of a cow or 50 kilos of beef still sounds like too much, don't write this off completely just yet. A lot of farms will offer smaller packages as well, so that's just worth looking into. If you're in the US, there's also ButcherBox, which makes it so easy. They literally deliver the beef to your door, everything vacuum sealed already, ready to freeze. They always have promos running, so definitely take a look into that if you haven't already. That is a little bit more expensive than if you're buying direct from the farmer, but still a savings in general. And if you're in Canada, there's also TruLocal, which is a similar concept. I don't think it's available in all provinces. I don't know why that is, but I think it's definitely available in Ontario and definitely in BC. I'm gonna be visiting my family in Canada next month, and I've been looking into TruLocal and giving it a shot while I'm there. Maybe getting my family signed up so they can eat more meat. But anyways, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any other questions, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I've went through the process. So yeah, leave those down below. If I can't help you, I'm sure someone else can. Also, if you have any other tips or tricks or farms you would recommend, leave them down below. I'll also link everything I talked about in the description box. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.